Hey y'all, so today's gonna be a little bit different of a video. Every once in a while I have something laid on my heart to talk to you guys about, and today is one of those days. This topic is something that I think about quite often, and it's been really relevant to my life. It's a little bit of a vulnerable topic to talk about, if you will, but I was watching Jess at Roots and Refuge recent video, and she was talking about how she always has a garden and she hadn't made any tomato videos. She was making maybe her first tomato video of the year. And if you've never watched Jess, she's an amazing gardener, just a beautiful person inside and out, and she loves to grow tomatoes. And I like to say I love to grow tomatoes almost as much as Jess. Maybe as much as her, but she is known for her love of growing beautiful heirloom tomatoes and just beautiful things. And she's just moved from Arkansas to South Carolina to completely set up a new homestead, which means she has no gardens. So she was talking about the season of life has actually been a little bit good for her, because anytime your identity gets wrapped up in something you do, it's kind of a good idea to step back and take a break from that every once in a while so that you can realign where your identity truly is found. And that really struck a chord with me because it's really important. I went through a season of life where basically everything that I had wrapped my identity up in was kind of stripped away from me. And I had to do some real soul searching and come into more of an alignment with who I am, the core of who I am, which is I'm a child of God. I'm a daughter of the King. And so I just want to kind of share with you, I guess, my testimony about that, and maybe encourage you if you found yourself in a season like this, or if you find yourself wrapping your identity up in the importance of who you are and the things you do. I just want to encourage you to step back and not do that and really look at your heart and who you belong to. And anyway, so back in 2016, we really felt called to move to Florida. And so we did. We sold off all of our animals and packed up everything and moved our family down to Florida. We were on 2.5 acres, which we had wanted more land than that, but we thought, well, we can do a lot in 2.5 acres, but we didn't have any animals. We got there, and the one thing we did was we started a garden. There's a lot of gnats out here. Sorry, guys. I'm kind of swatting them away. And so we did put in a garden because we moved right at the end of May, beginning of June of that year. And then at the end of July, we had a family crisis. My parents were living in Virginia still. They were going to move. And my dad had a massive heart attack and stroke and ended up on life support. I'm happy to say he was a miracle and pulled through. There's still healing that needs to take place. I believe he will be 100% healed. But I'm getting off track. Anyway, we had a family tragedy, crisis, strike, and basically ended up having to drop everything and leave Florida and abandon the garden. So we went into a really, really tough season of life with my dad recovering, and then not having any animals, and just a lot of things happened. And my health really went downhill at that point. I went into adrenal fatigue and some other things with POTS syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Can't even say it, it's a mouthful. And it's the autonomic nervous system doesn't properly work, and so it basically kind of leads to a high heart rate with low blood pressure, which leads to passing out. And I got to a point where it was really bad, and I was severely anemic, and so I couldn't walk across the room without having to stop and sit, drop to the floor before I pass out. And I've shared a little bit, but I haven't fully shared about the fullness of, I honestly for months couldn't even function. I couldn't do anything, couldn't cook for my family. So I was in this situation where I had no animals, and I had been homesteading for years. Didn't have any animals to take care of. I didn't have a chicken to feed. I didn't have pigs to feed. I didn't have a cow to milk. I didn't have anything. And I had very much wrapped my identity up in this homesteading gig. And I also have been a homemaker for years at that point, and for 14 years, 15 years at that point. And I'm used to cooking for my family from scratch, and baking bread and preserving food and just all of these things, and I wasn't able to do any of that. And with homeschooling, we were doing the basics, the bare necessities to get through the year, and I couldn't cook. I loved to cook. It was just all of these things were just a hit after hit after hit on my identity, or kind of where I had established my identity. And it was a really hard season, and during it I would not have said, oh, this is a really great teaching season in my life. This is something I'm going to glean from for years to come. I really didn't see that. In the throes of it, it was really hard. But on the other side of it, after we came out of that season, I started, getting a lot better. I still struggle. There's still things with my health. I can't handle, excessive heat, and I can't push myself. I crash. And but I'm much better. Like, I can garden now, and I can do these things. So we went from spring of the year before, and then it was like February of 2017. We finally got pigs. Derek got pigs as a birthday gift, and we also were in a bad place financially, so we couldn't just go out and buy. We didn't have any infrastructure. We had no fencing. We had nothing, so we couldn't just go out and buy fencing materials and all the things we needed. So it was a slow process of over the course of time adding fencing and adding chickens, and then we ended up getting goats there, and we bought Gertie, our Dutch belted milk cow. She was pregnant, so she actually didn't calve while we were there. But we had beef cows. We ended up with 2 horses. So we slowly over 2.5 years built our homestead back up. But in the meantime, before that, I was really like, who am I? Like, everything that I do is gone. I can't do any of this. And it was like the Lord really spoke to my heart in that season of life. And he was like, you're mine. You're not the mom who cooks. I mean, I do all those things, and it is part of who I am, but it's not the core of my being. You're not just a homesteader. You're not just any of that. You're my daughter, and I cherish you, and I love you, and I want you to rest. I want you to stop, and I want you to focus your heart on me, and I want you to rest. And so I did. I mean, I was forced to anyways, but it was really a time of a lot of healing in that identity area, and then the course of time since then has just continued to build on that. And so I do, every so often will find myself sometimes getting frustrated when I can't do the things that I used to do, and then I remember that's not who I am. And yeah, I like doing those things, and I want to do those things, but it's okay if I can't, because it doesn't change who I am as a person. I've gone through this season. We've had a lot happen in the last few years. I mean, we moved to Florida, and that happened with my dad, and then we went through Hurricane Michael, and we're homeless and jobless, and moved to the farm we were on. We had a really tough couple of years on that farm with losing a lot of animals due to just different circumstances there. So we walked through another really tough season, and I was thinking the Florida season was our wilderness season, but then we moved, and it seemed like we were in another wilderness season, if you will. But then, Jacob, our 5-year-old son, he had a neurological episode / seizure because of mold in the house we were renting. So we ended up moving out of that, and then we ended up on this farm, and we're still in the waiting to see what happens next. But I'm able to be content. And even though life is crazy and out of control sometimes, and I can't do everything I want to do, the things that used to define who I was, I have a peace and a contentment. I have a strong desire for things, but I can have my peace and contentment because I know who I am. That doesn't change. No matter what my circumstances are, it doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change who I belong to. I love to garden, and because of the hardness of the seasons, last year, I had find myself losing my passion for gardening. It was like to look at seeds online. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do, is just like browse seeds and order more seeds than I need to. And I know none of you can identify with that, right? But I had really lost that, and just planning a garden and where to put things, it was not there. The fire just wasn't there, and it made me really sad because I love that so much. It's a passion of mine. But again, but it wasn't robbing me completely of my peace and joy, because I still knew who I was. And I'm glad to say that this year has been completely different. I have been really excited about the garden, and my garden is not what I want it to be. I want to build something that's just really beautiful, and my garden is beautiful in its own right, because every garden is beautiful in its own right. But I just have a dream and a picture in my mind of what I want a garden to look like. And I keep looking there because my garden's up there. Sorry guys, I get distracted easily. But anyway, yeah, so I've been really excited about planning next year's garden. We're going to build beautiful garden beds, and not even sure exactly where we're going to build the garden because we don't have a house yet. We don't know any of that. But I'm able to get excited about it, and I'm glad, because it was hard going through a season of not feeling that way. But again, my identity wasn't wrapped up in that. So I just want to encourage you that if you have found yourself like identifying yourself by what you do, just step back for a minute and take a pause and really try to like seek the Lord on it, and just try to decide, this isn't who I am. I'm more important than what I do. Like, I'm cherished and I'm loved, and what I do doesn't define that. And yes, the people in your life need you, and they need you to be certain things for them, but that's not why they love you. They love you because of your heart. They love you for who you are. They love you because you're their mom, you're their spouse, you're their child. So you're their cousin, you're their aunt, uncle, you get it. Like the whole, just a dear friend. They love you for you, not for what you do. They love you for who you really, really are. And if you just don't really, even if you haven't identified yourself in something and you just are like struggling to see who you are, just start asking God, how do you see me? Who am I? And I guarantee you'll start hearing that small soul voice, and it will start saying, you're my daughter, and I love you, and I cherish you. You don't have to strive for anything. You don't have to perform for me. You don't have to be something to earn my love. I just love you because you are. I created you, and I love you. And it's that those words breathe so much life, because He is the giver of life. But like anytime I get stressed and anxious and I'm like frustrated with circumstances and things are crazy and maybe the kids have had a bad day, it's just been rough, it's like I have to just stop and hear those words, because none of the rest matters if you know who you are, who you truly, truly are inside. Nothing else matters. Life can fall apart, but you always have that foundation of who you are. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I just felt really strongly that I needed to make this video. Wasn't even sure what all I was going to say, but I knew that if I started talking, that the Lord would help me through it. And I hope that there's people out there who this blesses, and you needed to hear that. I know there's so many times that I need to hear things that people are saying, like I said with Jess, that was like really hit me, because that's something that's really near and dear to me, is the whole identity and who you are. And so I hope that this has blessed you and encouraged you, and I appreciate all of you. Thanks for sitting with me and listening to me chat and be vulnerable with you about the tough seasons I've been through with that, and I will catch you guys